Welcome to Tales from the Drive-In. Grab some popcorn and tune in as we discuss the wondrous curiosities of the world on and off the screen. I'm your host, BJ Segura. I'm a filmmaker, paranormal enthusiast, and horror fanatic. Joining me today are partners in horror, Christina Bergling and Eva Bordeaux. Today we will talk horror and family, horror festivals, Christina's horror novels, and her awkward place between sexy werewolves and sexy vampires. So let's jump into the deep end. Welcome, Christina and Eva. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yes, I got the pleasure to meet you guys at the Colorado Festival of Horror. What was that, like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now?
Yes.
Yes,
I guess
Sounds
something
right.
like that.
I think so. Yeah.
It was right. It was actually at my birthday, oddly enough. So I had turned 40, and so that was kind of fun to be able to do all that kind of stuff. I mean, I met up with some other friends and stuff and did other stuff before that, but it was nice to kind of take in all of that. And obviously, I found some new friends, and you guys are amazing. Like, I met you guys, I think, I don't know if it was Christina, I met you when we were sitting with the clients for the festival, the famous people, right? So, you had, what was his name?
Jeffrey Reddick.
Yeah, so he wrote the Final Destination, right, and directed that one, right?
Yeah, he created Final Destination. I think the original script got tweaked and then he wrote the second one.
Nice, nice. And then I had Kirk Thatcher, which he had done a ton of stuff. He was, the punk on the bus from the Star Trek 4 and also the Picard new one, and also had done a ton of things. I think he directed the Muppets Treasure Island, and also he did the Dinosaurs TV show, which I still love that show. Like, it's so great. I just remember watching that TGIF, right? It was part of that lineup for a little while. With all the other shows, and yeah, it was pretty great, and it's awesome that both of those guys have actually talked to us since then, right? Which is really cool. And then Eva, we met, I think, at I think it was Horror Trivia is where we first met that they did, and that was really fun. I didn't realize how much I didn't know about like classic 20s horror.
I didn't know how much I needed to know about 1930s horror.
Right? Always the
Right, right.
directors and the producers.
Right. But you guys knew a lot. Like, I was impressed. We were close. I mean, we should have placed. It was just that last
It was the
round.
30s round
Yeah.
that just
Killed us.
any
Just
chance.
killed us. Yep.
Yeah, because I think at one point we were like, was it second place or third place or something? Like, we were up there. What was
Yeah.
our team name? I forget.
Adults of the Corn?
Adults of
Corn.
the Corn, right?
Yes.
We lost to Meat Curtains.
Meat curtains. Oh, that's great.
I just
Meat
hate
curtains.
that phrase.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Did you guys have a good time there? I mean, it seemed like you guys did.
Yeah, I had a really good time.
Yeah, I did. My husband and I stayed at the hotel, which was really nice. So we were able to hang out and see a lot of people you don't expect to see, and just get a very different perspective on seeing people relaxing, and like with the karaoke, which was a blast. I was telling
Yes.
Christina she should have came back and hung out. It was a ton of fun.
I missed out.
It was fun,
'cause
yeah.
the karaoke at other horror festivals has not been awesome. So I was
Oh,
like,
really?
it's fine. I don't need to go.
Why is that? Is it just not?
Oh, The one at Telluride, I don't even think they have it this year, but it was in this really tiny bar and everyone was like super shitty and very bad and it was not fun.
Fair enough. Yeah, you got to get a good crowd and a good host, right? And we did. It was I forget her name, but do you remember what her name was, Eva? She's I know she's like
Dupree. Her
sister,
last name is Dupree. What is her
right?
first name?
Monique.
Yes. So she
Yeah.
sort of coordinated everything. So
Hmm.
when there was kind of like a low, she'd break it up, and her, I'm guessing her partner or her husband,
I'm
they would
not
get up and
sure.
perform. Um,
Yeah.
and they always put their own twists on all the songs that they sang to kind of just keep the crowd energized for whoever was coming up next. And I think that
Right.
kind of helped. Whereas, like, most karaoke, it's just whoever's coming up next. There isn't anyone there kind of directing it in a direction. So,
And she was really cool. Her like costume. I mean, she obviously dresses up all the time. She's a like a former was it WWE like wrestler and all the things. And
yeah, and she's
she
been in a few different horror movies. I think she still
hmm
acts.
yeah. And she's I mean, yeah, she's definitely one of the big names that was at the festival. And
Hmm.
she's also I think her brother is the original Candyman, right? Um
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
realize that.
which I found out, yeah, I found out actually after karaoke because we were all getting loud in the lobby, just talking to each other, and yeah, I had a really good conversation with her, because we had talked about like how she had lost a brother, he had died and everything, and I had lost somebody too that was really close to me, one of my cousins, and it was just cool. Like that's one thing that I've noticed about maybe the horror community in general. Like the people that I've run into the most are the people who have been affected um traumatically about with things, loss of any kind of way, right? And I think horror has really brought everybody together in an odd way, with different movies and genres, and um not just the movies but like writing, like Christina and her writing, and all of the things. And I love that. And I think I don't know what it was, but I think that's why I kind of gravitated towards you guys, is because there was just there was that almost like you recognize something in other people that um is deep and human and just genuine. And I think you don't see that all the time in other settings, but I think in the horror community it's open, right? I feel like people are more open to just be themselves and be free and just be it feels comfortable. I don't know. Is that something you guys feel?
Yeah, I think there's like a common point of entry. You going in, you're like, I know you like this weird shit too, so I don't have to hide the fact that I'm into this weird shit.
Yes.
We're already here.
Yes.
So I think it accelerates, the connection.
Yeah, agreed. 'Cause that's one thing, like, because we do Denver Fan Expo, and it's all so very big and very commercial and very, you know, you're attendee, you're not a part of the event. And I think that's one thing about COFO is that you felt like you were a part of the event, like almost immediately. Like people start to recognize you and acknowledge you, and everyone's always super friendly, and you don't see, people be getting demandy or pushy. It's everyone's super casual about everything and really is interested in the things that are happening in the different panels. And so, yeah.
And
This
just
is
the
my
way go ahead.
this is my first time volunteering and the volunteers were so nice. Like the coordinators were so nice. I was like, this is so easy.
Yeah, yeah, and then just the access to everything was easy too. Like just you wanted to meet somebody famous, you just go up and talk to them. Like it wasn't like at one of the at Fan Expo, you got to well no, you got to pay $60 to get a picture first, and then you could talk to them for 3 minutes or 2 minutes, and then there's a big long line, and
Yeah.
it's just not as cool. It's not as comfortable, right? Like it just doesn't feel that great. I don't know.
Yeah, this one's like getting in earlier when it's smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, how long have you guys known each other?
I was not legal to drink, so a couple decades?
Yes.
Wow. I was gonna say there's definitely almost like a sister vibe there with you guys.
It's the shit talking, isn't it? That's what it is.
It has to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So, obviously you guys have known each other for a very long time. Um, was horror something that you guys connected with like right away? Maybe is it like something that you started watching right away, like together?
I
Or did
think
it
it
come
kind
later?
of snuck up later because in the beginning it was mostly just partying.
Yeah.
And I think like it was just like, oh, you're into this too? Sweet, let's do this additional thing besides drinking together.
Yes. Yep. That was, I think, more so how it happened because it wasn't, yeah, that wasn't something we talked about in the beginning. But then it still feels like it's always kind of been there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Eva and her husband have been fucking ridiculous about Halloween since forever. Like they have the Halloween costumes that stop the bar. So obviously we already knew we were there
Yes.
every year, but
Yeah. That's true.
That's awesome. So you guys obviously love Halloween. Do you guys dress up?
Yep.
Are you
Yes.
gonna dress up for this Halloween?
yep.
What are you wearing?
I am going as John Doe from Seven
Nice.
because I got the look going.
I have no
Yeah.
idea. Which is
So-
weird because normally we have like, but even then we don't usually talk about it. Like it doesn't, you don't know until the party or going out. We don't share that information.
The most epic was Homer and Marge. Still
That
to
was-
this day, that
that
one
is
was
pretty epic.
just
Who was,
was
Homer and
ridiculous.
Marge? Was it Eva? Or were you
Yeah.
Marge?
Eva and Mike were
Nice.
Homer and Marge.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's-
Your hair had to be over 6 feet high.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
It was that knew what it felt like to run into things because it kept like hitting on stuff. The wig did. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love those costumes. Did you? So you made it. Obviously, it wasn't just like. Did you
Mhm.
guys make all your stuff most of the time?
We try to, for the most part, we try to. I mean, there's certain things that it's just easier to buy, but we try to keep them as homemade as possible and not just commercial bought. So
Yeah, I would say the only time that I actually bought a costume and I was like, I'm just gonna wear it and I'll put something over it to add to it. I was Alf. I went as Alf.
Yes.
Oh,
That
it
would
was so
be a
great.
challenge to make. So
Oh
Yeah.
god. But the costume was great. Like I wore it one year at the Fan Expo before it was Fan Expo and but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Obviously very hot because it was just full hairy suit, right? And then rubber mask, so it was a little tough.
that sounds hot.
But I did find you know how they have those like it's like dog or cat costumes or whatever. I found one that was a sandwich, and then I bought like a stuffed cat and just put it in the
Oh.
sandwich.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so awesome. That's so perfect. I was
See,
going to
it's the
ask you, did you
details.
carry cats around with you just in case, you needed a snack? That's
Yes.
perfect.
And that year, for whatever reason, there were so many cat women. I was like, I need to get pictures with every one of them. And I think it said, and on the back of, I had a T-shirt on that it was like a Hawaiian shirt, and on the back I had "Here, kitty, kitty." So
The holiday
yeah.
just aligned for you and brought
No
you all the
doubt.
cat women.
It was, and they looked good. That's for sure. I was like, oh god, it's almost like intimidated to just even talk to him. Like, oh my god.
Then you remember you're dressed like Alf and you
Yes.
can do whatever you want.
Exactly. Because no one knows what
Exactly.
you look like.
I just wish I had the voice of Alf, right? Like that's the one thing I didn't have. I was like, oh. But yeah, I always like to do stuff, like obviously costumes, like obviously Festival of Horror. I did Philip the death scene from Nightmare on
That
Elm
was
Street
awesome.
3. Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun. That one. I'm still gonna do some tweaks on it because I want to make it to where it's a little higher up and kind of over me, so that
Hmm.
the strands are kind of out and away from my body. So it looks a little bit better that way. So that might be what I do for Halloween. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, making stuff's always fun. Um, I do want to talk, and we'll get into more horror stuff. But Christina, I would love to talk to you about your writing and everything that you do.
Sure.
Yeah. So I didn't know this about you, obviously, until I started to, do a little creeping. I was like, oh, what is this? What is this website of yours? What is all this the photography and all the things? I was like, man, this is crazy. Um, but yeah, so you obviously you've was it 4 or 5 different
5
books, and then
books.
how many short?
21 or 2.
That's a lot. Yeah. So when I read the How to Kill Yourself Slowly,
Hmm.
right? And I don't know if I read it all. I mean, it's is it shorter? Is it like,
It's
I don't
shorter,
know.
yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say I thought I read it, but one thing that I really loved was the part about the family mental disease, right? Like I wrote it down because I typed it in here because I wanted to read it because it's just awesome. Is the legacy of mental illness snakes silently through your genes, only visible in the awkward interactions of family get-togethers. Insanity is painted in the wrinkles of all of their repressed faces. Like that was amazing. Like I read that, I was like, oh God. Like it reminded me of my family, right? Like I feel like personally in my family there's just a lot of mental illness and diseases, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, just all of that. And just like just weird like just weird family members, and it's just yeah, it's just when I read that I was like, yep. I thought of like instantly like 5 different family members. I was like, these people, man, like, ugh.
Yeah,
But
every
it
time
all
I hear it, I'm like, oh, it's like Christmas dinner, and I can just feel the tension.
right, yeah. It's tough. I mean, I'm sure Eva, you have do you have a lot of family?
I do. Um, yeah, both on both sides. My mom comes from a family of 9, and my dad comes from a family of 15.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Like condoms, I don't know, were not a thing, or like
yeah, back then it was you needed children to help you. So that
fair
was what
enough,
they
fair
did.
enough.
But
That's a lot of kids. Good Lord. I
yes.
thought my family was big. Good Lord. So I'm sure you've had some weirdos in there too, right?
Oh yes. Yes.
Which
Definitely.
is, I mean, it's a good thing. It makes things interesting, but it's also kind of awkward, sometimes kind of like depressing, right? It's like, am I gonna be like these people? Like, I don't want to be like my uncle, right, or my aunt or whoever, right? And I think that was part of what what I liked about what you wrote is that it made you think about that. It made you think about like, do I have a connection to the crazy, and how do I feel about it? And it fucks with you, right? It's like, I don't know if it adds to depression or because it doesn't help. I don't,
It definitely doesn't help.
right, because like, yeah, like it sucks when you have like family members like that, and for whatever reason it's like those are the family members you see more often.
Yeah.
Are the ones that are crazy or like weird.
And
And
then you start to wonder, have I become that family member? Like, am
oh
I the
yeah,
crazy one that they're talking about now?
yeah, but I
I'm
don't
like,
think
well,
so.
how are my kids going to think of me in 20 years? Like, it's
Right.
terrifying. It's
Well,
terrifying.
I think it's going to be different because the way that you and Mike are with your children are very different than the way that your parents were with you.
That is 100% accurate.
And you also seek help as opposed to those who do
The
not.
other stuff.
And that's a problem, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody does things the right way. And then I don't know if there is a right way, but definitely looking for help is a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're not sure about a certain thing, be like, hey, how can I deal with this particular situation, you know? And that's, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be more of that. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are maybe too proud or too set in their ways and be like, nah, we're going to continue to be racist and hate people, like, or whatever
Yeah.
it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I have seen, as you know, I have younger kids, and the temperature seems different as far as getting help with them so far. Like, my kids have therapy, other kids have therapy, they talk about therapy. I'm like, man, this is like night and day from 20 years ago when you didn't want to say it too loud.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like we've had to we were the generation that had to get past that, right? Get past the not asking for help thing so that we can improve and get better and heal and all of the things. And so that the next generation can, because honestly, like we had talked just before we got on about like COVID and everything, and I feel really bad for the generation right now, like especially teenagers that are having to deal, that had to go, you know, years of staying at home. Their social uh just the way they are with people is gonna be affected
Yeah.
dramatically, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's you can see it. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kids are resilient, but at the same time they're really adaptable, so they latch on quick to the
Yeah.
new way it is.
That's
So
true.
which kind of scares me a little bit because it's like, where are we going?
That's what horror is for, to explore that very question.
Exactly.
like Black Mirror. I don't know if you guys have ever
Oh my
seen that.
god. The latest
Oh,
season was, it was too close. It was too close to real. I was like, no.
yes. I love Black Mirror, the sci-fi mixed with future technology, with horror, all of the things. Like I wrote a feature script that was kind of based on that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now, speaking of writing, your writing, how would you describe your writing style and what you like to write about?
I think I'd probably go with psychological. I tend to live in the characters' emotions and all the horrible things I do to them. Sometimes those are funny, so we get some horror comedy, but there's still a lot of feelings involved. And yeah, so since it's so grounded in the emotional experience, even if like it could be a slasher, it's still what the fear is like for whoever's getting slashed.
Right. And do you have a favorite of the things that you've written?
Well, my favorite book is Savages because that was my first one. I wrote that one after going to Iraq as a contractor and kind of losing all hope in humanity. And then shorts. How to Kill Yourself Slowly was a big one. That one I wrote in college, and I presented it to my creative nonfiction class. It went terribly. Oh, it went terribly. And then, so I published it online, and then hundreds of people emailed me their deep, dark suicidal tendencies. So that one was probably the most significant experience. I really liked one I wrote about circus workers called Freaks, but I think that anthology's out of print.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like you do cover a lot. um, which I mean, when I went down to sit and actually read some of this stuff, it's kind of one of those things. I don't know if I don't know if you need to prepare yourself, but maybe prepare yourself to like look at yourself deeply, right? And it's like, I don't know if I want to go there. Like I kind of want to laugh and not and stay on the surface level tonight, right?
That's not going to be what I bring to you. What
Have
about
you
you,
read?
Eva? What's your favorite of mine?
Whatever, like everything. Duh.
That is a bullshit answer.
Um,
Maybe maybe do you attach to the most? Like which one made you feel the most?
Oh, they all made me feel. I mean, that I won't lie about. But like, I like
But
the
you're gonna lie
waning.
about other things.
No, I like the waning because it was a very different type of book, and it was a very different approach to the being taken as a prisoner and then what happens at the end of it, which I think applies to all of us in some aspects, just as how you can allow yourself to get caught up in work, get caught up in a relationship, and then before you know it, you don't realize that you've been stuck there for way
Oh
too
yeah.
long, or
Like
stuck
20 years or something.
exactly. Um, but stuck in a situation where you didn't expect to be there for so long. I think that really impacted me, especially with some of the stuff that I've dealt with. And then of course the rest will come, which
That
only
was like a
because
group, right?
it was a group, right? We all had such a great hand in helping develop that book with our stories and
Yeah,
experiences and stuff.
that one contains a lot of nonfiction. It just doesn't happen to be mine.
Did you help out Eva with that?
Yeah, just supportively, only because I mean I wasn't really dating at the time because I've been married for a little while. But I shared stories of like other stories that people had, shared with me about their experiences, and
Yeah, there were
so
nights where we got all the girls together with some drinks and we're like, what are your worst online dating stories? And I would take notes and then I killed them in the book.
yes, so,
Nice.
yeah. There's a variety of the shorts. I know some of the holiday ones she's written um, always make me laugh, especially the Christmas ones, because everyone always has such a bright, concept of what Christmas is. And, having worked in retail through many Christmases, that's not how I see Christmas. Christmas is much darker than Halloween can be. So,
Yes. I think
Mhm.
I don't know. I one thing that I wanted to ask you is have you ever thought about getting any of your stuff adapted into some kind of either like a short film or a feature?
Absolutely. I have never been able to like cross myself the format, but if anyone else wants to try, please feel free.
Well, I don't know if you know this about me, but I am a filmmaker. I do a lot of short films mostly. I mean, I write, but yeah, I've dabbled in a lot of things. I went to film school. We mostly do in film school. We mostly do short films because that's the only time. That's the amount we don't have a lot of time to do stuff. So like the first year you do like a 3 to 5 minute film. Second year you do like a 5 to 8 minute film. Third year is like up to 15 minutes or something like that. And so you get like a year to do those kind of things, or like one semester, then 2 semesters, and then sometimes a year and a half to complete it all. So yeah, I got to learn all the different ways of doing things by being on sets and doing, everything from sound to AD work to directing to writing, all lighting, all of the things. So um, my advice, I would do something short
Mhm.
because it is something that can be done relatively cheap, and you don't need to spend a lot of time on it. Like a anything like up 5 minutes to 10 minutes, something like that. You can do, you can film it in maybe 2 weekends, and then obviously editing takes a little bit of time, but having something out there, something finished, or even like a proof of concept, or even like a trailer for something like that, I think, because that's how you can show somebody that has money and that wants to finance something that it's like, oh wow, this story has something extra that we need to see more of. And
Yeah.
so if you had to adapt anything, what would you want to adapt?
I don't know. I think the rest will come would be a good adaptation. I like the mix of humor and violence. There was a film at Telluride a couple years ago that kind of walked a similar line.
Mhm.
It
What's a
was not my
quick uh
favorite, but
what's a quick line or two of what's it about?
online dating would drive anyone to murder. It's about a woman who gets fed up online dating, so she starts murdering everyone instead.
Oh my God. So she meets up with them at a
She
restaurant and then
catfishes them and then
oh no.
kills them and buries them in the mountains.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
So I think that would be fun to see in film, especially because the protagonist is based on a friend of ours. So the whole time I'm writing it, I'm envisioning this all happening to her, and so it tickles me. I would be curious to see if it tickles other people.
I wonder if you could get her to act in it.
That would
If
be
she could
amazing.
be that person.
Oh my God, that would be so epic.
It would come full circle.
Right? That's so weird.
And yeah, you can do a story like that. I mean, as long as it's not too big, right? You can do something like that that's maybe 10, 15 minutes long or something.
You could just do the opening where she kills the first guy by accident.
Yep. Yep.
Murder by accident.
I mean, sort of.
Sorry. That's intriguing. I'll have to read it.
Yeah,
'Cause
I read the first chapter at a book reading the other time, and every woman who was still dating came right back to my table, and they were like, "That was amazing." I was like, "Yes, would you like to exercise your demons? Here you go."
That's awesome. So, what else can we talk about? Obviously, so I saw one other thing I wanted to bring up. I saw your Instagram post of your journal entries for hairs, right?
Yep.
That was so I am not a courageous person. It takes a lot of courage to come out and just to put it out there, and you do that really well, not just on Instagram but with your writing and everything, and I think that's why people really like your stuff, because it's something that you do well, and other people either they don't have the courage to bring it out there, or they don't have the eloquence, they don't know how to do it, they just say it in maybe a basic way that isn't deep. And I think that's because a lot of people because they don't know how to do it, they don't know how to bring it out. And I think that that's what's cool about what you do. So I don't
Thank
know. Yeah. So
Yeah, it comes from I've been kind of like this since high school, which landed me in the counseling center a whole lot. Um, but it usually being super open and disclosive tends to reciprocate back, where people will tell me lots of things that I may or may not want to know. But I think it's just that the openness makes people comfortable.
and I think that makes people comfortable. It also for me, it makes me uncomfortable with myself.
That's her devious plan all along.
Right? Because it's like,
I
wait
would
a minute.
never.
Lies, woman, lies.
But you're not outwardly tell me your deepest, darkest secrets.
It just happens. It just fucking happens.
It's a talent, right? Yeah, my cousin, unfortunately, she was tragically taken from us not too long ago, but she was very similar. She would just put her heart out there. She would tell you everything, and it was very comforting that you could just be open and non-judgmental and all that kind of thing. And I think that's rare. I don't think that's something you see in a lot of people, because people are so reserved and people are so closed off and all of that. And to find that in individuals, just strangers, is not common, right? I don't know.
Yeah, people are scary.
Or scared.
Both.
Yeah, that's very true.
But one thing, and we talked about this at the beginning, but just horror, right? Horror brings us together, and this being a partially horror podcast, I wanted to get into a little bit of maybe some of your favorite things that come with horror. So maybe who influenced your love for horror, or when was the first time you knew that you were like, this is my jam?
Go ahead, Eva.
For me, it was my dad. Because we would watch horror movies late, after my siblings would go to bed, and Um, and he would let me get scared, and then we would rewatch it, and he would like turn the sound off, and he'd be like, "See, it's just fake. That's all it is." But he for sure, like, my favorite horror movie is called The Haunting, and it's from
64.
1960, I think so. It's a black and white, and you never really see like what is haunting the house, but it's all sounds and images, and it's just the feeling that you get while you're watching it. And ever since then, that's that when you want to pull the blanket up, but you don't want to pull it because you don't want to miss anything. Yeah, that's yep. That adrenaline. Yeah, I like that.
Nice.
I pretty much was always like this. When I was little, it was just Halloween, anything scary, I was all in. I lived a very sheltered childhood, however, so horror came later. But I had really bad nightmares forever. So when I started watching horror, I was like, oh, it's like coming home. Like, this is all so familiar and comforting. And that might be troubling, but whatever. My dad showed me my first horror movie when I was 12, and it was Scream, and I got none of the references because I had no
Ooh.
context at all for it. But yeah, that was it. I was like, all of it, all of them.
Yeah, like obviously Scream is an amazing movie, and one of the other podcast that I help with, it's called Three Haunted, and they're amazing. I definitely go check them out. But um, John Thomas, he is one of the hosts, and yeah, he's all about Scream. Like he went to the fan expo, he's gotten all the pictures with everybody. He has every picture with all of them, and that's his favorite franchise and everything else. But that's a good one. Honestly, obviously, it's a bad one to start with because, like you said, you don't get the references and all of that, and the history and all the things and why it's so cool for the way it was made, right?
Yeah, you can't understand meta if you don't understand the genre, but it still worked on me. My kids want to watch it really bad, and I'm like, no, you have a homework list before we get to that one.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, and also, like, I don't know. That's something I talked with my last guest about. It's like, what is a good age? Like, I don't understand, like, because obviously it's different for us than it is for, like, your kids. And,
Yeah.
you can't, like, for me, Hellraiser at 10 is probably not the best idea.
I find that it varies by child's because I have two very different kids. One of them cannot hang with suspense, but gore, totally fine. As long as she knows what's coming, doesn't care. Whereas the other one, suspense, doesn't even sweat, but gore, very physically uncomfortable. So there's different throttling of different things based on what's going to traumatize you and what's going to be fun.
Mhm.
So maybe 7 is not a good movie for either
Probably
of
not.
them.
Anytime that I have to have a discussion on someone being assaulted with a knife, then I'm like, I'm out. Any sort of rape revenge, I'm out. Like, I don't want to have those talks.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're like, I
Uh,
want to watch, oh God, what is it? The Crow. They want to watch The Crow. And I'm like, mm-mm.
yeah, it's tough.
It's like,
Like
the
there
movie's
is
fine, but that one part that I don't want to talk about.
right. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with horror, like they cover everything, right? There's every kind of situation, horrible situation that you can think of, and the slashers, I mean, obviously Texas Chainsaw or like The Hills Have Eyes. I don't even know if you'd call that a slasher, but like there's some bad things that happen to people, right? And but some of the slashers, it's like, oh yeah, he's just going around killing people. Like it's not like it's I don't know. Like for me, that's why I don't get into slashers as much because it's a little less um I don't know, challenge not challenging, but just
Cerebral, maybe?
yeah. I need something like obviously Nightmare on Elm Street for me is probably I mean, I love the franchise, but obviously for me it's more like the first and the third, like that's and then New Nightmare. But those ones it's just for me I have such a connection to dreams and just the creativity of the kills and then the way they kill them with who they are and their lives. I think that was just what made me gravitated me to those films. And they weren't I mean they do get cheesy, right? But The first and the third, obviously, they do some fun things, and
If you watch them end to end, all of them, whew, there are some very unfortunate patterns that emerge.
yeah, I did that recently, and I was like, damn it, like, I was mad. I was like, man, like this is not what I remember, except like I said, the first and the third, and then New Nightmare, like those ones,
Yeah.
like
But
they,
there's a lot of hours after the third one where you're like, what was this?
yeah, it's like how did they, how did they think this ending would work? Like,
It's what
you know?
happens when you end a franchise like 18 times.
Yes.
They're like, this
Well, like
is the end.
Halloween, same thing.
Halloween
Right?
Saw. How long has Jigsaw been dead?
Right?
Since the second, third movie?
Yes.
They're like, it's fine. We'll just fold time over on itself and it'll work out great.
Because he really didn't die. I mean, not
No
die,
one
die.
is there for him to be alive. They're there to watch everyone else die
Right.
horribly.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of the problem with those. Is there a particular genre or subgenre of horror that you guys are like, this is for me. This is where I'm at.
I like the psychological. I like the comedy. Yeah, I like people being horrible to people, like sort of what's wrong with all of us sort of thing.
That's good.
So I do less on the supernatural side because of
Oh,
that, because
okay.
I'm like, we don't need this. We're bad enough by ourselves.
True, very true. But I think that's part of the escape of horror, right? It's like to get away from the ugliness of reality, to go into these supernatural states of
Yeah.
like, oh yay, vampires. Let's
Show me the worst case scenario so I can feel like getting out of bed tomorrow.
yeah. What about you, Eva?
I like a lot of the psychological, but I also like the supernatural stuff too. I enjoy that stuff, especially religious stuff, because I was brought up Catholic. So the more bad you make Catholics look, the better I am. So
So
but
give me
yeah,
a
I
movie.
like
Every exorcism movie ever.
yeah, for sure.
Do you have a
I think
favorite?
I've seen them all. Not specifically. I mean, the original Exorcist, mainly because I went to college in that area. So, like, the stairs, I walked down them, like where they shot that, the infamous Exorcist stairs. And, because I went to Georgetown. And so there's, all the stories about when it was happening, and, the
That's
priest
cool.
that was there for it actually worked at Georgetown. And so all that kind of connectivity was really intriguing. So yeah.
I love that when you can connect to a film based on your location, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was for me, and it's completely opposite of what we were talking about, but Cannibal the Musical, right?
That movie is
So
awful.
terrible movie.
So bad.
But so I'm from Colorado, and I went to CU Boulder, and their dining hall is the Alfred Packard Grill. That's what it's called, right? And Alfred Packard is known for cannibals, right? And it's like, why would a university
The grill.
name the place where you eat
Oh, I love it so
after?
much.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
and we would have what was it called? We would have like South Park Day, where like they'd bring in like South Park characters and put them around and stuff. So because Trey Parker, Matt Stone, they went there for a little while, but yeah, it was weird. Like after you actually watch the terrible film, and then you're like, oh wait, and then you do research on it, and then you're just like, wait a minute, like you put two and two together, and you're like, this is terrible. Like who thought of this, and why would you? A university. So yeah, it's that for me. That's one of the films, and actually Cannibal the Musical. One of the guys from it was at the Colorado Festival of Horror. He was there.
Really?
Yeah, he was there to do one of the talks on the lighting. So they had a horror,
Oh.
yeah, the horror lighting and stuff, which was really cool. So they had it in that like conference room kind of small area,
Hmm.
and he did a whole thing on that. It was him and a couple other people, but I thought that was really cool. But yeah. I would say, getting back to like the exorcism and stuff. I want to get back to exorcism because I am a fan as well. Um, Mine, I would say, like the Exorcism of Emily Rose is up
Hmm.
there. That's a favorite of mine because I just love the actress in that. I loved her in Dexter, and she's amazing. But that whole story, the way they shot it, like it definitely. And is it Laura Linney? I think was she in that one?
Think so.
But yeah, it was that one was solid. It wasn't like scary necessarily, but just the way
Mm-mm.
it was done, it was
Yeah.
just done well. It didn't feel cheesy or like, like, this is stupid. It wasn't like that. Where so a lot of them unfortunately are, right? Some of them are just like,
You're like,
come
oh, you're
on.
doing that. Okay.
I can
Yeah.
recite the words with you because I've seen 7 of these movies.
Exactly.
Have you I don't know if the new one has come out yet, with the two girls.
Oh, the Believer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that comes out
It's
Friday.
Yeah, it's this
Friday.
month for sure.
Hmm.
Are you gonna go watch it?
Hopefully.
It's a short month, man.
There's so much that happens this month. Like I was telling Mike earlier, I was like, I can't believe we're going to Telluride next week. Like because before I felt like we had another week. Like,
Right.
no, here we are.
Unprepared.
Very unprepared.
So you guys you're all going to Telluride,
Mhm.
and that's amazing. I have, obviously, well, I went to film school, and a lot of my filmmaker friends like to go to that as well, and it is obviously very well received, very well known. What is you guys have been before, right?
This is year number 7,
Oh my God.
I think.
For you, I think we're
So
one
it'd be 6 for
6
you.
for us, yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
your favorite, I guess, festival to go to?
I
in
really
Colorado?
like it. And
Yeah.
I like going to Telluride in general because it's gorgeous in the fall. And I drag people hiking before the movies. So
That's
Yes.
an
Not Eva,
amazing
but other
idea.
I'm not.
I think that's a great idea because like you get your exercise in and then you can just chill and watch the films and not
for like
feel
12 hours. Yeah. That's how I earn sitting in those uncomfortable ass seats for 4 movies a day.
Right?
Yeah. Do you guys like the features, or what do you gravitate towards when you go?
I like the features. I know that you guys love the short blocks. I
It
keep get fucked over by the shorts. So every time I'm like, why did I come to this?
Are they
Oh,
just
and
bad?
you
Is
walk
it
out.
I don't know. It's only the blocks I go to. Everyone else seems to have a lovely time when I go to something else. So, I like to we do trivia there every
Mhm.
time. We used to be good, now we're terrible.
Yeah. Well,
I can't compete with like Stephen Graham Jones and the
Hey,
guy
he's not
who
gonna be here.
directed the movie we
I was
just
gonna say.
watched.
but he's not going to be there this year, which is surprising.
Maybe that'll help. What else? We go to the party at the end. There's a pig roast.
Oh,
I usually go
nice.
see the authors.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. No, that sounds like a really good time. So is it kind of so it's obviously films, and obviously they have they have other things, right? They have the trivia. Do they do like an artist alley kind of thing or
There's not
anything like
really
that?
any vendors. No,
No.
it's spread out throughout the town. So it used to be 3 separate theaters. Now I think they've taken on a 4th.
No, I was looking over
Or
the
is it-
schedule. At the 4th, the Elks Lodge is just going to be like a social hub. So,
Just
like,
events? Okay.
yeah, just like meet and greets for like if you want to go talk with filmmakers, they're going to be present. If you want to go and talk to the authors, they're going to be present during that time.
Okay.
And then I think they're going to have probably like drink specials and stuff because I think it's a better space than what they were trying to have at the Sheridan. which is awesome.
It would have to be. Um, but yeah, so since it's kind of scattered all over, there's nowhere that there's really vending. They have their own sort of shop
Sure.
where you get your badge, but other than that, there's not really any of that.
That's so cool. So you guys obviously love the indie features or the indie shorts and all of that. Is there
Yep.
something about that festival as far as like the filmmakers? Is there something that you're like that gravitates to you that maybe that you want to ask questions about? Is there something about the inside look of those things that just brings you back every year?
I don't know. I mean, it's not exceptionally pretentious. Like, people are really approachable. You end up connecting with, like, I was messaging back and forth on Facebook with the director for Never Hike Alone 2, trying to get him to dress up as Jason at trivia. And, like, we met him, what, 5, 6 years ago when Never Hike Alone premiered. So just everyone being pretty chill and engaging is always nice. And then the quality of the movie's pretty solid. I mean, pandemic was a little shaky, but
Mhm.
Right.
once things started rolling again, it seems to be back up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say from the friends that I know that have gone there, it's as far as horror goes, it's up there, right? Like I mean, that's what it is. It's kind of like the best horror that maybe it's the best festival for horror films in Colorado every
Yeah.
year, right?
Yeah.
The only other one I've gone to was I went to the Stanley Film Festival before that met an unfortunate end, and that one was awesome. But
Oh
that
no.
one moved. It's the Overlook Film Festival now, and I was in New Orleans or Oregon or both. Moving
think
around,
it's
I'm not sure.
Sort of travel.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that one was a lot of fun. And the venue, obviously. But
Yeah.
it didn't make it past that
Oh
year.
no,
So
that's too bad.
I heard that the festival got in a fight with the hotel. So
Right. Probably doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing, or like
it was a lot of crazy ass horror people. So who knows?
can't reenact the stuff here. We have guests.
We
Which-
100% did that in the hotel.
Wait a second, we did that.
I had a book signing in the Stanley, which tragically turned out to be a romance book signing. How the fuck I ended up there, it's a whole thing. Anyway, I had this book signing, so me and my friend dressed up as the twins. Eva dressed up, our other friend dressed up, and so we're like running around the halls, taking pictures, staging things. Then we got mobbed in the lobby by random people wanting pictures. I did
See,
not
that-
sell many books, though.
At
lot of
least you
pictures,
had a
though.
good time.
Took a lot of pictures, had a great time,
Yes.
did not sell many books as I was between like sexy vampires and sexy werewolves and sexy zombies. And I'm like, I don't have sexy anything.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's right. I
Oh,
forgot everything was.
I was
Was
like,
sex-
do you want to talk about serial murder? And they're like, no. Is it sexy serial murder? It is not.
You should have been like, there's some sexy in it somewhere. I don't know.
I
I was
mean,
like, all the sex goes real bad, but that's not the point.
That's so great. Yeah, because you never know, I guess, right? It's like it's a genre, but it's also like what am I getting into? What kind of audience is this gonna be?
Well, it happened once. Like one of my publishers has a whole romance imprint. So they referred me to this signing in Nashville and I was like, okay, let's try it out. Romance, wall to wall. Like people hurried past my table. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one came up and I was like, well, it's at the Stanley. Surely it's actually horror.
and wasn't there
No.
horror in the title though? Like, wasn't
Yes,
it
it was something about
women
horror.
horror writers or writers?
It was something.
Yeah, and that's
It
why
was
we were all
not.
like, yeah,
It was like
No.
supernatural romance.
yes.
Mhm.
That's just like,
I
how
think
does this keep
Twilight, but
happening?
for adults.
Honestly, I'd much rather read what you have to write than romance novels about vampires. Because, like, I mean, you see that all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Like, who
We
cares?
had a whole room of it. It was everywhere. And then Oh, there was a cover model there. There was a cover model there just dressed up as Jack Torrance, and like there's a whole table of his abs like right next to mine, and so we called him Jack Abs.
Jack Abs, that's
He
awesome.
was walking around like with his open flannel and his axe taking pictures. It was fucking ridiculous.
But entertaining, right?
Yeah,
Like
he was
that's
very
great.
nice. Like I hope he got many, many sexy vampire book covers that weekend.
It's funny you guys mentioned the dressing up and running around the hotel because at the Festival of Horror when I was dressed as Philip, right? So I also stayed at the hotel and I was up on the third floor and I got out of the elevator and one of the ladies cleaning like I scared her like she freaked out. She turned around, she's like she didn't know what to think of it. She was just stood there looking at me just like what, like I'm like it's like
it's
it's
fake,
not
it's fake.
real.
I'm not actually bleeding.
It was so funny. I was like it's okay, like we're good, like. But I mean, if you're not expecting to see something like that, you're just like what the hell is that, especially if
Even
you
at
haven't
a
seen the
horror
film.
festival,
Yeah.
you're like, what?
Wait, what?
Some of
Like,
those cosplay costumes, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
yeah, they did a really good job. I was really surprised that I placed. Like, I was like, holy shit! Like, how did I even? Like, I was happy to be in the top 8. I was like, yes, I made the top 8. But then when I got a freaking trophy, I was like, man, this is freaking awesome. Like,
It was a very
absolutely.
awesome costume.
Yeah, for
Thanks.
sure.
Yeah, it was fun to make too. I was cause just thinking about it, I was like, how do I make guts? Like, what can I make guts out of? Like, what is that? So I was like, I came up with like yarn, and then I just put like liquid latex, and then the scab stuff, and then just kind of hung it up and let it sit for a couple days outside. And neighbors are just like, what is that? Like, not really sure what they're looking at, kind of thing. It's like it's okay. It's just part of a costume. Like, but. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you guys like the stand. That sounds like a lot of fun. That would be cool if they did something else at the Stanley, right? I mean, they do like different events and all that, obviously, ghost tours and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and like I've seen some bands do concert there, like Ice Nine Kills has done the
Hmm.
Stanley a couple times. So, and they built like they were building a whole theater the last time, like on the grounds the last time we were up there. So I'm like, come on, have your own fucking festival. Like,
Right?
They would
then you
make
keep all the
so much
money.
money. Yes, they make so much
Exactly.
money. Like, and I don't know, like, I don't. I mean, obviously, they're not hurting for money at this point, but I don't know if it's just more of an inconvenience. You know,
They're like, do we really want to bring all these people back?
something. I don't know because I feel like the people that work there, be the people that own the place would be like all for it. Like embrace it, embrace the weird.
Yep.
And some people just aren't about it. But I don't know. I do have one more question about horror stuff because I ask all of my guests this. So if you could spend a day in the world of any horror film, what would it be and why?
A horrible question.
Jesus.
I even read it in advance and I'm like, I still don't know.
Yeah.
So I can tell you mine. I mean, there's a lot of them, and a lot of people have brought up stuff that I was like, oh yeah, like my last guest, I interviewed Weld County Paranormal, and they're these as a female-led paranormal team here in Greeley, and they're amazing. But her answer was Shaun of the Dead, and I was like, yes, that's one of I have to add that to mine as well because it's just so much fun. And she's like, I want to do it all, go get Liz and like the whole thing. And she was like, I'm like, so who would you want to be? Would you want to be one of the characters? She's like, no, I mean, I'd be my own person, but and I'm like, so, but you're going to have a doppelganger. Cause when they cross the other group, you got to have somebody that looks the same and that you're waving back to each other. Maybe you're the person that's buying weed from his friend. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
Be a good one.
Yeah, because it's fun and zombies and I don't know, survival, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what fun horror movies I like. All the ones I like are fucking horrible to be in.
Well, you
Go.
don't have to. You can, like I told them, it was like you can be in the corner laughing your ass off eating a bag of popcorn. Like you don't.
Saw. Saw. 100%.
That's that. So the same girls, Weld County Paranormal. She said Saw because, but she wanted to have the reverse bear trap on her. She wanted to play the game. She was
That's
all
not
about
that.
it.
No.
I want to watch the game
Yeah.
and I want to watch it happen to terrible people.
I could have pages and pages of terrible people to plug in there.
Perfect.
True.
Here,
Yeah.
this person, this person, just
So there's a caveat. It's like you want to be in it, but you also want to bring somebody with you.
I have a list of people who need to go through the traps.
So for me initially it was more of a question of like, because obviously the writers and the directors create a world that's so fantastic and such, you know, the music, the acting, the special effects, like the setting, like for me I was like, oh god, which movie has everything that I want to be in, right? Like that I would like love to just walk around town and just be like, oh man, just being in this world is so cool. You know, that's what I thought of initially. And again, it's not that you're part of it. You're just almost like VR, right? Like you're just walking through.
Yeah. I really like A Nightmare on Elm Street too, as long as I'm not the one having the nightmares.
The like 2 is an also or number 2?
Also, not
Okay.
number 2.
I was
Though I
like,
do love a good gay bar. That's fine as well. Maybe not that one specifically.
Right. But just the dream world, Freddy, the whole vibe, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
All right, Eva, I bought you time. It's your turn.
actually probably Interview with the Vampire, only because
Ooh.
of the historical aspects when they would go back in time and being able to witness those aspects of history, I think would be amazing.
See, your answer is way better.
See, that would be amazing. Like
Mhm.
time travel, right?
Yep.
Have you I've only had maybe a couple of these dreams traveling back in time, and I think that is so fun. Like it's so cool when you know in your dream that you're time traveling, right? Like I don't know. I think yeah, an interview and also being a vampire maybe,
Mhm.
right? Like that.
100%.
Oh. Yeah.
So
And
then
that's a great
there's all that knowledge that you retain from living, hundreds or thousands of years, depending, and just the experiences that you have, I think is just amazing. So
there's a really funny meme about like, if you're a vampire and you're poor, you should just give up because like you've had all this time to make money and figure it out. Your dumbass still is poor as shit. Like
agreed.
You couldn't open one savings account
Right?
400 years ago and just let that shit go.
yeah, like you should just like stop. Like
just yeah.
Just walk out into the daylight and call it a lifetime.
Watch the sunrise. There you go.
Right. Yeah, I mean, right. Like you can't make money in that amount of time. Like I'm surprised you're still alive at this point, right?
I mean, the system is against us, but still.
Right.
But I will agree with you. Like vampire movies, I have I love vampire movies. Like obviously back here you can't really see it, but this is The Lost Boys. It's one of those things that they had at the movie theater. It would have on the back it has the what is it called? The soundtrack on it. And I actually have that this is signed by the saxophone player. So because he came he came to Fort Collins and we did the movie outside at the Lyric, and then afterwards he played the songs and everything. And
cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we got to talk to him and everything. But yeah, The Lost Boys is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. That, Fright Night. There's just so many like that. I mean, obviously there's a lot. There's so many vampire movies, but I'm all for it. So.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, I don't know. I mean, Interview with Vampire, that's the only one that is there any others?
Well, there's the series because they're redoing the series or the book.
Yeah.
They're redoing the series, which is like 1,000 times better, and it's more embracing of what she wrote in the original book. Because the
Yeah.
series itself is amazing. Like the book series itself is amazing, and how
Anne
intertwined it
Rice.
is. Yeah, with witches, because eventually they intertwine into the witches. Mayfair witches. Thank you.
Yeah, that was actually a good series. I watched that on, I think it was Amazon Prime. That's a
Mhm.
good one. I actually just started reading Lestat, so I'm excited to get through that one. But I'm behind, obviously. There's so many things I need to read and watch, right? Like I think that's a big that's a big thing with horror fans, right? Like you know a lot, but then you're just like, oh God, there's so much I don't know and
Then
haven't
someone
seen.
brings up the 1930s and you don't know shit.
Dude.
Not shit.
It's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'll do my homework as well. Like I definitely, because that's where it kind of started, right? You gotta build another foundation. It can't just be. I mean, for me, it was 80s, right? So 80s, but it's got to go further back, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's not a bad place to start anyway, for horror. But well, great guys, this has been amazing. We did a full hour and everything, and before we go, I wanted to ask: is there anything you guys are working on? Anything you want to plug? Anything that we should look out for? Or anything that that you're excited about in the future?
I have a bunch of stuff I'm working on because I have decided that editing is stupid, so I'm just going to keep creating shit and not editing it. So when will you see it? Who fucking knows? But one day I have like 4 books already written that need to go somewhere. I have a short coming out, I think, in maybe October. It was supposed to be September. I'm not the publisher, but it's about Viking monsters that I made up. So that one will come out from Kevin Kennedy soon. And then, yeah, hopefully I will get my shit together and actually submit something else.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to Telluride and then 6 Feet Under, which we're doing this weekend. And then Halloween. Woohoo!
Hell yeah.
All the things.
Yes.
You guys are going to we'll have to have you on again, and you'll have to tell me maybe some films that you really liked at Telluride, things that we should look out for, that we need to watch, because that's the thing I also want to do is give people things that they can consume, right?
Yeah,
there's so much out there, and like I trust your guys' taste and stuff. So for the most part, right?
Well, you'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yes.
Either way, it'll be an experience, that's for sure.